Good morning, and you're watching Market Cafe on ET Now with me, Vinny Motiwala, along with me, Harsh Chaita as well. Very good morning to you, Harsh. And how are these global cues looking like? How did the US market actually close on Friday?
Well, good morning to you, Vinny, and good morning to all our viewers as well. New week, start of the new week, and let's try and assess as to how global cues are pointing towards, at least in this new week. We're looking at the S&P 500 best weekly performance in the last 7 weeks from the S&P 500, strong weekly performance, and it closed in the green largely. All US indices, all European indices closed Friday in the green. So we're looking, at least at the moment, at positive sentiment where global markets are concerned. We're also looking at positivity on the futures. The US futures are looking positive. So you can see on your screens the Dow was up around 1/3%, so was the S&P 500. The Nasdaq outperforming both of those indices, up 0.7% in trade on Friday. So both on a weekly as well as on a daily basis in the green. In fact, Nasdaq sees its biggest weekly gain since November of 2022. So a couple of good moves coming through last week as well as on Friday. We're looking at European indices also largely in the green. We're seeing the DAX up around 1/5% on Friday. Of course, the Brazilian index was down around 4/5%. The FTSE up 2/3%, and we saw green even on the stock 600, up over 0.5% in trade. So across the board, we saw positive in trade on Friday, and we're looking at a positive, mild positive, where US futures are currently concerned, around 0.1% higher. So across the board, we're seeing green at the moment. Vinny.
Absolutely, green at the moment across the board for the global handover coming in. But when you look at the crude market as well, Brent Crude has gained over 9% in a week, especially, the demand of optimism that we can see coming in from China. It is going to be supporting the overall crude prices, and Brent Crude we saw on Friday closed about that $85 per barrel mark. As of now, this morning, Brent Crude has opened up with a slight bit of a decline. It's down almost 0.4% rate, just mildly below that $85 per barrel mark. WTI crude oil also trading just slightly below that $80 per barrel mark at $79 per barrel mark, 79.63 to be precise as of now. So keep an eye on that one, because dollar slumping as well as China reopening, that is going to be boosting the demand. That is why crude is a bit on the exciting front and has seen a bit of gains coming in on Friday. Obviously, oil posted the biggest weekly gain coming in that we saw coming in since the month of October as well. And gold has surely been shining in trade. It hit its record high, rose for the sixth straight week coming in as well. And in terms of gold prices also, when you look at it, this is the biggest, actually the prices are at the highest level that we've seen coming in since April 2022. When you look at the gold prices, they're comfortably trading about that $1,900 per ounce mark as well. So interesting move coming in gold prices as well. Given that the fear we may see of some bit of a recession, the concerns are roaming around that, and because of that, safe haven demand products increase. The demand for safe haven products already increases, so that is why gold is also seeing an increase coming in. Friday, we saw natural gas prices, US natural gas prices actually fall for the 4th straight week coming in as well. So that's surely an interesting update that we're getting in from the commodities front this morning, Harsh, as well.
Well, absolutely, Vinny. Gold shining, that's the theme of it as inflation starts to rise. But let's try and get into the thick of things, see what events to keep an eye out for today. And we have India's wholesale prices as well as trade balances coming through today. We're also seeing results for Federal Bank as well as Angel Broking. And of course, there is that L&T Finance key con call. Mind you, 2,600 crore in additional provisioning is what they've made on Friday in their results. Need to keep an eye out on what they have to say. Of course, they are on ET Now as well later today. And of course, there's a Just Dial con call as well to look out for, and Federal Bank press conference as well. So some key events to watch out, some earnings too, and that's what we'll have to keep our eye out on.
Okay, and let's move on to the crypto space now. We do have Bitcoin, the world's largest cryptocurrency by market capitalization, that has broken about that psychologically important mark of $20,000. Now, this milestone has actually come as investors anticipate that the digital asset may have reached a low point amid the concerns after collapse of many large cryptocurrency firms. Before this recent breakout, the price of Bitcoin had been relatively stagnant at around $16,000 to $17,000 for several weeks. So, an interesting mark that Bitcoin has actually crossed.
Well, and in a big admission from Bitcoin to China, health authorities at China have stated that they saw almost 60,000 COVID-related deaths in the country since they started easing zero COVID restrictions in early December.
And keeping with that, I'm talking about China. China has actually resumed high-speed rail services between Hong Kong and mainland for the first time since the beginning of COVID-19 pandemic. The reopening comes amidst a massive wave of infection nationwide following last month's abrupt U-turn on the zero-COVID policy in the wake of historic protests. Despite infections, some passengers voiced excitement and relief about being able to more than easily return to their hometowns in a time for approaching Lunar New Year.
Well, and let's, somber moment here. At least 68 people were killed when a domestic flight of Yeti Airlines crashed in Pokhara in Nepal. This was the worst air crash in 3 decades in the small Himalayan nation. Hundreds of rescue workers scoured the hillside where the flight went down. Officials said the search operations will resume today. The weather had been clear and there was no immediate indication of what caused the crash. But let's also listen to what Jyotiraditya Scindia, who's the Union Minister for Civil Aviation of India, had to say about the crash.
बहुत ही दुखद हादसा हुआ है और मेरी संवेदनाएं समस्त परिजनों के साथ है और इस समय में हमारे सभी यात्रियों को परिजनों को जितने भी हमारे सफल रूप से निकल पाएं और सभी को मेरी बहुत दिल की गहराइयों से बहुत बहुत संवेदनाएं।
Let's move on. And Peru has extended a state of emergency for another month in the capital city of Lima, I beg your pardon, and 2 southern regions. Now, deadly protests in this region against the government have sparked the country's worst violence in 20 years. More than 40 people have died in the violent clashes between protesters and security forces since early December.
And well, moving to the World Economic Forum, cooperation in a fragmented world, that's the theme of the biggest economic summit this year. The biggest global industrialists, policymakers and leaders will converge at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland till the 20th of January. They will discuss some of the most pressing global issues, including the Ukraine war, the crisis of inflation as well as climate change. And besides global leaders, strong participation from India is also expected. Union Ministers Ashwini Vaishnaw, Mansukh Mandavia, Smriti Irani as well as R.K. Singh are expected to attend the meeting. India Inc. leaders including N. Chandra, Rajesh Gopinath, Rishad Premji, Vijay Shekhar Sharma, Adar Poonawala as well as Dinesh Kumar Khara might also attend the meeting.
Okay, on that note, with all those global updates coming in, we're going to slip into a very short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with domestic updates after this break. Welcome back, and you're watching Market Cafe on ET. Now, let's get talking about more domestic news. And in a big relief actually coming in for successful bidders under the commercial coal mining, the Coal Ministry has offered relaxation in a revision of performance bank guarantee. Let's go across to my colleague Prakash, who's standing by to give us more details on this. Prakash?
As you rightly mentioned, it's a big relief for successful bidders under commercial coal mining. As Coal Ministry has given relaxation in revision of performance bank guarantee. As per new decision, first revision in the performance bank guarantee would be done upon grant of mine opening permission for the respective coal mines. Coal Ministry has provided such relief on request of industry. At present, performance bank guarantee submitted for auction coal mines is to be revised annually based on the National Coal Index for the month of April in the beginning of the financial year. But there was an issue. The national coal index has become double since the launch of first commercial coal mine auction in 2020. There was a significant increase in national coal index that has led to financial burden on successful bidders whose mines are in the pre-operationalization stage, and it was impacting fund availability for mine operationalization activities. Subsequently, it has been decided to revise performance bank guarantee only after permission granted for opening of the respective mine. So, in order to attract investors for upcoming bid rounds of commercial coal mining, it may be helpful to increase participation. Also, following this decision, Coal Ministry has decided to extend bid due date for 6th tranche of commercial coal auction up to 30th January 2023. Over to you.
Well, thanks for that, Prakash. We'll quickly move on. The RBI Governor Shaktikanta Das said global interest rates could remain elevated if the current geopolitical tensions were to continue. However, the likelihood of a hard landing and subsequent recession in the US has weakened. He added, at a financial summit, Das noted that the core inflation in India remains an area of concern. He's added that core inflation remains sticky at 6%, which is not something he is completely comfortable with.